Well, the statewide newspaper in Arkansas has sadly become a biased birdcage liner that is so anti-Trump that I don't even know why I bother subscribing. My daily newsletter that I put out has almost 20 times the number of subscribers of what's billed as Arkansas's largest newspaper. Well, that paper recently ran a guest column from someone who once worked for me, in which he recited most of the never-Trumper talking points, like the well-worn media tropes that Trump would be a dictator, he's morally flawed, and he doesn't like democracy. Now, none of that is close to true, but people are entitled to vote as they choose as long as they live. And if you're a Democrat, you can even vote after you die. There you go. But after claiming that he was a Republican and a conservative, he ended by saying that he would vote for Kamala Harris. Look, I am of the view that if you are truly a Republican or a conservative, voting for Kamala Harris would never be an option. And I want to make clear, it is not because she's a Democrat, and I certainly don't care if she's a woman or whether she's Indian, black, Jamaican. None of that matters to me. It truly does not. But I want to tell you what matters. I am pro-life, and I will not vote for anyone who is not pro-life. I just won't do it. She is a person who believes in abortion without restrictions.
We need to put back the protections that are in Roe v. Wade into law. Since the Supreme Court took it, Congress has the power and ability to pass legislation to put those protections back in law, and Joe Biden will sign that bill.
And I will not vote for any Republican or Democrat who doesn't believe that Israel has a biblical right to their ancient homeland and the right to secure it. Kamala Harris pushes for the ridiculous two-state solution, and she's demanding that Israel cease to eradicate Hamas, which has had a reign of terror against the people of Israel. Under Trump, we recognized Jerusalem as the capital, achieved the Abraham Accords, and bankrupted Iran instead of bankrolled them as the Biden-Harris team did. So whether it's her open border policy, the Bidenomics that's resulted in almost 20% inflation, the unaffordable cost of gas and groceries, or housing for that matter, quite frankly, we can't afford the progressive policies that destroy small business owners and decimate working-class Americans. But here are some things in her own words, in case you think I'm just making this stuff up. She wants to decriminalize illegal immigration, and she wants to give illegals free health care and education, and you, my friend, would pay for it.
I believe if someone crosses over the border, it is illegal, and you would decriminalize it.
I would not make it a crime punishable by jail. It should be a civil enforcement issue, but not a criminal enforcement issue.
Mm-hmm. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Yeah, she just lets you pay for that too. And she would defund the police, in cash bail, letting criminals walk free after violent crimes, and ban you from owning certain guns by forcing you to give them up with a buyback program. Watch.
You know, for far too long, the status quo thinking has been to believe that by putting more police on the street, you're going to have more safety. And that's just wrong.
Does that mean you support proposals like what we've seen in Los Angeles, Mayor Eric Garcetti saying, take some of the money from policing, about $150 million?
I applaud Eric Garcetti. We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program. It's got to be smart. We got to do it the right way.
Eliminate cash bail. I've been a leader on that in the United States Senate.
Yeah. Well, she and her vice president pick, they want to push gender-altering surgery for children and then have you pay for that, even when the parents don't want that to happen to their children. Her energy policies would make your costs soar, because she would ban fracking and offshore drilling, push the Green New Deal, and restrict your gas stove. How are you going to cook your biscuits, people?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
So would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
And I've, again, worked on that. So I am offering a Green New Deal that has been described as one of the most aggressive and progressive.
Yeah, we're all excited about that, right? Oh, she's also against voter ID. But here's what's funny. She forces people to show a photo ID in order to get into her rallies.
People have to understand that when we're talking about voter ID laws, be clear about who you have in mind and what would be required of them to prove who they are. Of course, people have to prove who they are, but not in a way that makes it almost impossible for them to prove who they are.
What does that even mean? Oh, and she isn't just for increasing government and dramatically raising taxes. She wants to create a socialist system where everyone ends up with the same outcome.
So there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests often everybody should get the same thing. Well, that often assumes everybody started out in the same place, as opposed to equity, which is everyone should end up in the same place. And if you then understand not everybody started out in the same place, you understand some people need more. So we all end up in the same place.
Yeah, that's America, isn't it? We all end up in the same place. And if she gets elected, we'll end up in the same place. We'll be broke. That's what we'll be, in the same place. Look, no real Republican or conservative would ever vote for a pro-abortion, anti-Israel, gun-grabbing, tax-hiking, Green New Deal supporting, anti-police, open border supporting, and gender-confused politician. You got to decide whether to vote. And you might decide not to vote. But voting for a candidate who hates the policies and principles that you claim to support is just indefensible. But I'd say it's even worse. It's just plain dangerous.